the...
What's up? What's up? Ask me your VA disability questions. Y'all know what it is. What's up, B-Buck? You're the man. B-Buck is the absolute man. Single-handedly changed a veteran's life.
24.
My audio's working today, so I will be editing as we are going about this thing. But it's not gonna be too crazy. Not gonna be too crazy at all. Serene Authenticity, what up? KQ, Bamboo, thank you, appreciate that. So you got VA disability questions, just throw them my way. That's what I'm here for. That is what I'm here for. Okay, let's see. Have you thought about applying to become an accredited claims agent? I have. I'm also a federal employee for the Army, and I have direct contact with service members every day. And the VA regulations are very, very clear about federal employees kind of double dipping. So the answer is I can't. But that was the plan. That was my plan all along. If something ever happens and I go back to government contracting, I will 100% do whatever is required to be a claims agent. KQ, intent to file, and go. Yeah, so intent to file, great topic. I think it's not, I think it's one of those things that are overlooked way too often because veterans just don't care about it. But intent to file gives you, the veteran, 1 year to submit that claim. It's not just submitting a claim. The intent to file is really to gather the evidence. And so anytime a veteran submits a claim without the proper evidence, it really gets under my skin. That's why I made that rant video the other day about no one cares. It really gets under my skin because VA gives you the ability and tells you, hey, you have a year to gather the evidence. So veterans, yes, should absolutely take advantage of that. Solar Storm Ray, what's up? Hi, I've been getting a 30% rating for asthma. Should I file for increase under the new respiratory regulation? No. The new respiratory regulation is for sleep apnea, okay? Ain't got nothing to do with asthma. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. Be careful when you see like stupid thumbnails and headlines, all right? Or titles. I do the same thing. I get it's a YouTube thing, but you really got to dive into the information yourself. If you look at I have 2 videos on the mental health and the sleep apnea changes and tinnitus, and I show you the proposed criteria so you can see it yourself with the link there. You definitely want to check that out. Absolutely, you want to check that out for yourself. Kind of just don't be full, don't take my word for it. Sergio Alvarez, I am 70% for PTSD, 50% for migraines, and 0% for TBI. Okay, 70, 50, all right. Can I do TDIU on the migraines and TBI alone, or do I need to make it? Yeah, so looking at requirements for, what are you, 50% for migraines? All right, so, little known fact about migraines, if your migraines keep you from gainful employment, that is one of those disabilities that you can actually receive TDIU for, okay? Although it doesn't meet the standard criteria, migraines kind of meets the exception for that. So, Sergio, which it's not common, right? It's not common, but if you have the evidence to show that your migraines are super severe and you have TBI service connected, it's obviously roped under your PTSD. So just knowing that your migraines could very well meet that, severity criteria. So yes, you could absolutely push for TDIU if your migraines keep you from gainful employment, right? There is a regulation on that. I don't have it off the top of my head, but it does exist. It's a real thing. All right, Robert Briggs. My VSO says I do not need to include anything from my VA medical records in my claim. Is that correct? That is correct. The only time I would recommend a veteran submit their, specific VA medical records with their claim is if you're submitting a fully developed claim. What that would look like is you have your service treatment records, you're submitting excerpts from your service treatment records, like let's say you're claiming lower back. You would go and find all the evidence, medical and non-medical evidence for your lower back from service. You would also find the current diagnosis and treatment plan or medications or whatever that is for you from the VA or private insurance, and then you would also upload that completed DBQ from your healthcare team. If you're not doing that, there's really no need to submit a claim with your VA medical records at all. So yes, your VSO is correct, but there are niche scenarios in where you'd want to do that. B-Buck says, bad place to ask. I know, you're fine, dude. Don't worry about it. But how did things work out for that vet, the one, the DBQ and IVO or IMO? Yeah, so some context here for everyone tuning in. First, hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. It helps the stream. B-Buck donated a medical opinion and private DBQ from Dr. Sharma, who's a psychiatrist. B-Buck, I don't want to give all the information out, but that veteran won their claim at 70%, right? So you definitely, you changed his life there. That I can assure you. All right. Serene Authenticity. I just came back from deployment. They say I have latent tuberculosis. What percentage is that, and what should I do? Let me look at tuberculosis because that's not really common. That sucks though. I can tell it. All I'm gonna do is look up your condition and then look up 38 CFR. Oh, excuse me. Let's look at the CFR ratings for tuberculosis. Yeah, depending on your severity, anywhere from 10 to 100%. Anywhere from 10 to 100%. Let me look at tuberculosis, 38 CFR, eCFR. That's what you look up, okay? Don't go to this. Don't go to anyone else's stupid site. Okay. If you just Google, so it's 4.88C rating for inactive non-pulmonary tuberculosis. Yes, you can. All right. Yeah, Robert W. smashed the like button. I appreciate that. Thank you. I am editing this. Let me throw some music on here. T, what's up? How the hell do you find a doctor that knows how to write a Nexus? It's like they become stupid when asking for help. Not every provider is in the space to write a medical opinion, okay, a Nexus, or complete a DBQ. That includes VA doctors as well as your private healthcare team, right? So, which means you have to do some Googling. There are tons of providers out there. Some are good, some aren't so good. I would recommend if you're looking at a private Nexus and a private DBQ, which generally I don't even recommend in the first place. I'd only recommend that if you've been denied and you have the evidence, okay? Then I would probably start considering that as an option. But generally speaking, you want a specialist, okay? So physician, not a nurse practitioner, not a PA, a physician. Not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, okay? Now, can all those professions write the Nexus? Absolutely, okay? I just wouldn't recommend anyone go down that path. Because if you're going to pay, why not go to the top dog in that food chain? I just don't understand that. Obviously, that's my opinion, okay? KQ says hit the like button. Yep, thank you very much. I appreciate that. TK, question, answer. When does the criteria for service connection is met? I got out in May of 23 and filed a claim yesterday, February of 23, where I still get service connected even if the CMP exam. Yeah, you're good, TK. So as long as you submit it, so you left service in May of 23, so you have your intent to file all the way from the day you got out. Let's say you got out May 10th of 23, your intent to file is good until May 9th of 23. In your case, let's just hypothetically say your claims took over a year to be completed. Doesn't matter, right? Because your effective date still goes back to the day you left active duty. So in that regard, you're good. Let me just put this music where it needs to go.
2024 VA benefit report is out, and it reviews absolute megaton of information for all things VA benefits. So I'm going to show you the top 3 claims per body system. There's so much to do. The reason it's not going to do.
Okay, I don't know what happened to this. I'll answer more questions here in 1 second. Just let me just do this. Multitasking is a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. Boom. Okay, let's answer some questions here. What do we got? Solar Storm Ray, thanks. Yeah, no worries. Thank you for joining the stream. Charles Bortkin, what's up? Charles says, bam. I was diagnosed with GERD. What's the standard percentage? 10 or 30%. It does go to 60%. And I'll tell you this, out of all the veterans I've helped, okay, or seen decision letters, and it's been a lot, I've only seen 2 people that happen to be friends of mine that have 60% for GERD. Okay, the overwhelming majority ratings for GERD are going to be 10 and 30%. It's also roped in with IBS. IBS is also presumptive under the PACT Act, right? So that might actually be the easier route to go versus GERD. Just depends. Just depends. I'm not saying don't go for it. I always urge veterans to be properly rated, okay? Properly rated. 2024 VA Disability Report. I forgot what I was going to title this thing. Let me know if this is a good title. It doesn't matter. I'm just going with it anyways. I ain't got time. 2024 report for VA disability. Why this thing matters. For VA disability hyphen why this thing matters. Report. Report. Okay. I can't believe I said that. It was gross. Okay. More questions. TK, also, does Dale K. Graham Foundation help veterans with sending DBQs and IMOs when they are uploaded on VBMS? Does Dale K. Graham help veterans with sending DBQs? Yeah, I mean, they are an accredited VSO, and any accredited rep will do that. You can also submit that yourself. Dale K. Graham does have a backlog, so to speak, or a wait time. But yes, you can Chick-fil-A, dude. But you can absolutely submit your documents, right? It doesn't have to be through VBMS. You can do it through Quick Submit, which is much, much faster. Greg Proctor says, is a Nexus letter necessary if you are currently service connected for sinusitis or seeking a secondary connection to headaches? A Nexus letter is not necessary for any claim. Doesn't matter what kind of claim it is, Greg. Now, a Nexus will need to be established, okay? And that's generally going to be from a CMP examiner. But looking at migraines secondary to headaches, very, very common. Headaches is actually a symptom of sinusitis when it comes to episodes, okay? So you have based on that comment, you probably have a pretty decent, strong claim. I need to actually open up the live because last time we had a bunch of bots and stupid stuff on here.
Boost your revenue and drive growth with Google Ads.
Okay. Make sure no bots are in here. B-Buck, excellent. Yeah, man. No, that was awesome. That was a good thing you did. Walter Love says, have a mental health pact. You have a mental health, sinusitis, sleep apnea, and migraine CMP coming up in Anchorage. Quiet and anxiety driver. Yeah, absolutely. The good news is, when it comes to mental health, I have an entire video on what that CMP exam looks like. You want to check that out, okay? Same thing with sinusitis and sleep apnea and migraines. You're going to want to check all those out. Probably easier just to go to the website, TheCivDivOnline.com, so that way you're not searching YouTube. Everything's, you know, it's more organized on the website. Ruckus Rock says, what's up, all? What's up? Are two separate back ratings considered bilateral? No. Bilateral is really going to look at your joints, okay, or your appendages. So like elbows, wrists, shoulders, hips, knees, legs, arms, did I say knees? Ankles, and feet. Those are going to be your bilateral ratings. Even if you see like bilateral tinnitus, it's not a bilateral factor, okay? I wish they just wouldn't say that. But it's only for the joints and appendages is where the bilateral factor is going to come into play. Steel Horses 04, what up? I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 1 year and 8 days after retirement. No previous history of diabetes. Can I still claim it? I would. Absolutely, I would. I want to know how much time has gone by since then, okay? Like, did this happen yesterday or did this happen 20 years ago? There's a few things I want to know, but sure, you absolutely can. Serene Authenticity, thank you. Thank you. You live again? You should do a Q&A with me sometime. Claims that I master, we can look into that. Hey y'all, have you seen the PACT Act presumptive claims denied? Yes, I have, actually. And this is I'm gonna try not to go on a rant here, even though they have a diagnosis and served in the area. Oh no, to answer your question, Jeff B, no. The only time I've seen a PACT Act claim denied, the only time is when the veteran submits a claim without the diagnosis, which is stupid, okay? Shame on you. I will be the bad person and say you're stupid, okay? Not you, Jeff, but if you submitted any claim, specifically a condition covered under the PACT Act without a diagnosis, you know, you reap what you sow, pretty much says. That's it. But there hasn't been a single time I've seen a veteran with a diagnosis and that meets the time criteria that's been denied. Not once. People have made the claim, okay, and then I challenge them to send the decision letter to me, and then when they send it to me, I will highlight it. You know, this condition is not chronic or has not been clinically diagnosed or whatever it's going to say. _A, what's up? Being active duty with less than a year to go on the contract, it's tough getting to medical to have issues documented. What are your pro tips on gathering evidence before getting out? Yeah, so one year for active duty members that are on here, 1 year out is the golden time to start thinking about transitioning, right? Now I'm going to talk about VA disability specifically, which is just one piece of the entire transition process. But you want to start thinking about that. But to answer your question, what you need to do is keep complaining, right? So there's a Genesis thing. I don't know much about Genesis, but what I do know is you can kind of send secure messages through Genesis to your healthcare team, and that's exactly what I would do to start documenting pretty much everything. And then your last chance, okay, your very absolute last chance to get anything documented is going to be that exit exam. What I want you to do, and anyone that's active duty watching this, go to TheCivDivOnline.com. I'm going to show you from my computer right here. Hopefully this looks normal. There it is. That's me, my dumb face. On the top left, you want to hit BDD claims, active duty. Do not overcomplicate the process. Here's a 4-step process. It's Barney style. And then you'll see this master condition list video, okay? That master condition list will break down by body system what you can and cannot claim. You don't know what's going on inside you, right? I didn't know what tinnitus was. I didn't know what PTSD was when I had left the Marine Corps at all. So watch that video. It will go through body systems head to toe. And like, hey, you know what? I do have knee pain. And that will kind of help you frame your plan for your BDD claim. TVK, is intent to file needed for retiree that did BDD? I know the 12-month rule following separation. Didn't know ITF. No, so BDDs, if you submit a claim 180 days, like the very first day you're eligible for a BDD, it doesn't matter. Your intent to file date is still going to be the day after you leave service, right? So I got out July 4th of 2019, Freedom Day. So my intent to file date was July 5th. And that was 19. I had until July 4th of 2020 to submit whatever it is I wanted to, okay? I didn't do a BDD claim because I was stupid. Well, I was ignorant. I didn't know, you know. You don't know what you don't know, you know? All right, Ruckus Rocks, can I use one intent to file for multiple claims? Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. You have an intent to file, you can start it online, you can submit, dang, 50 claims with that, okay? Or 50 disabilities, excuse me. 50 disabilities with that intent to file date, and they will all hold that intent to file date unless it gets denied and the diagnosis changed, and that's a whole other topic, which kind of sucks. All right, secret sauce. Who's your connect for musculoskeletal disorders? Secret sauce. So, first, before I say this, because I don't like promoting on videos, right? At least verbally. So I am going to answer your question though. Before I say this, I only recommend considering a private Nexus and a private DBQ, right? If these two things are true. One, you've been denied. Two, you have the evidence, all right? That's my personal opinion. Can you submit those on top with your claim? Absolutely you can. That's what a lot of claims consulting companies push veterans to do because it doesn't guarantee your claim, but it makes a strong argument and it makes for a better, higher level review, okay? Hold on, let me, stupid, okay. But the connect, or I would say the paid partnership I have is with Dr. Rashnath Patel. Okay, that's at nexusletterdoc@gmail.com. You can hit her up. She's out of Texas. Super, super solid. Okay, super solid. She's good. She knows what she's doing. She's a physician. That should be in the description somewhere. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me see if I can update the description on this video. This is a new YouTube thing. Can someone tell me if you are able to pull up the description on this live right now? Because if you can, let me know. And I'll just copy paste all the stuff in there. So that way I can at least guide people to it. If you can't, that's cool. If you can, certainly let me know. Save. All right. You should be able to see it now. No description. See, that's dumb because I can see it on the computer. I guess you can't see it when it's in vertical mode. What's my occupation? I am a... I just got a text from someone. I'm going to have to investigate that. If you're watching this right now, Greg, thank you for that. I am so curious. I got to... Okay, let me focus. Hit the 3 dots. Okay, Apex, thank you. Anyways, sorry. I'm a federal employee for the Army. I'm a curriculum developer and instructor. I teach a bunch of nerdy stuff, okay? USMC big, and you can look me up on LinkedIn if you really want more than that. That's fine. My name's Clayton Sims. 2 days in a row. Boy, you must be on spring break. Simplify. Simplify. USMC Big B. Not on spring break. My wife is just gone, so it's just me. So I do what I want. You know, one of those things. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you. Secret Sauce says, I'm 60% for GERD with IBS. Dr. Sharma to prove it though. I'm 60% for GERD with IBS. Are you saying that Dr. Sharma, I'm assuming you went GERD IBS secondary to mental health because you used Dr. Sharma for that, which is awesome. If that's the case, Secret Sauce, definitely let me know. But if you're 60% for GERD, that's a solid rating. You would be the third person that I know. Oh, I don't know you, but I feel like I do. All right, Teddy Woodson. Hey, Clay. I had my first CMP yesterday. Only lasted 5 minutes. IDK if it's good or bad. Any suggestions on the next step? Time doesn't really matter, okay? In most cases, time don't matter. I want to know, Teddy, what was your claim for? What was the CMP exam on, okay? Because some CMP exams are fast. You know, you go to a Gen Med appointment, you already have the evidence. A Gen Med meaning it's probably a presumptive condition like sinusitis. If you already have the evidence and the documented symptoms, they're asking you for a few questions. Beam, bop, boop, complete the DBQ, boom, that's it, okay? Versus like a mental health appointment that's probably going to last like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So it just depends, Teddy, and let me know what Tour God, if you are a veteran, let me know your branch of service and when you served, and then sure, you know, I have no issue promoting any veteran stuff that wants to be promoted. Zero issues with that. All right, Daweed, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I'm just gonna call you DB. With the coming changes for GERD, is it better to file now, direct service connection? I wouldn't say it's better. That's not the language I would use personally. I would just say, hey, if you have the evidence if you have a chronic condition that is linked, that you believe is linked to service and you have the evidence, submit the claim, right? All the other factors are completely irrelevant, right? So this is changing, that's changing, sleep apnea, tinnitus, GERD, none of that matters. If you have a condition and you have the evidence that is from service, submit the claim, okay? No need to overcomplicate the process. Don't let a YouTube thumbnail or a title, you know, detract you from your goal, which is being properly rated. And I get the YouTube game, okay? I also have clickbaity thumbnails and titles. I try not to. It's a fine balance, okay? But hey, if you have a disability and you have the evidence, submit the claim. Everything else is irrelevant. Okay, Gus CO2. I'm at the duty military, 21 years, in process of doing a BDD claim. Okay, good news. My diagnosis from my military doctor account or anything. Do I need to see a specialty doctor for every diagnosis? No, Gus. Diagnosis is like the golden ticket, to be honest with you. Generally, you know, we recommend for BDDs that you at least have a complaint, and it sounds like you have that all squared away. Now, I will say, because your comment is worded a little weird, if you have private records from the last 21 years of your life, make sure you submit those with your BDD claim, okay? Talk to your VSO you're using. If not, submit them through quick submit. Super easy, okay? Bran, what's up? Hi. Try not to spam the chat. Appreciate it. Man, dude, the YouTube short form stuff is good. It's also annoying, okay? Kitty Cat Hunter. Kitty Cat Hunter. I mean, Red River, Red River, it's a beautiful place with boba. Like, what the dude? Of all the channels you want to, oh, you're good, Brent. Whenever I see it, I think you're a bot. whatever. I just think of all the channels to be a bot in, I feel like mine's a wasted resource. Okay. Vince McCall says, made it to 100% PNT thanks to you and Hill and Pod. I'm glad I could be a part of that process, okay? I am a fan of accredited attorneys. I am. That's like my weakness, if you will, okay? I understand there's a big argument against that. Totally fine. But in certain scenarios, right, accredited attorneys are absolutely clutch, assuming you have the evidence. Okay, Benny, appreciate all the free content, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for saying that. It's helped me with my claim. That's awesome. All right. CivDiv on, I created CivDiv Online. That's like the new addition to the channel. CivDivOnline.com. I'm trying to make it the one-stop shop for anything and everything that you need, and it's well organized, right? There's templates on there. There's stuff for BDD claims, and then every body system. So mental health, migraines, ears, respiratory, neck, shoulders, going all the way head to toe. That's what it's for. So I'm glad I can be a part of that process. All right, Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you very much. Longtime fan, OG Vanessa. I have seen P exam tomorrow for my appeal for tinnitus. Any suggestions, thoughts? Yeah, Vanessa. Think about the allowed environments you were in consistently, and then express that to the examiner, right? Whether that was like a flight line, an engine room, you were a range coach, okay? Something that, an environment that had consistent loud noises and that you were exposed to, right? If you were in like a gun line for artillery, mortars, anything like that, 50 cals, Mark 19s, 240s, right? The good stuff. Just reference the evidence you have. Eugene, the lifeguard. If you filed migraines as a direct service connection instead of secondary to mental health, how would you go about that? I wasn't rated for mental health when I got out, and now I am. I'm assuming, so you're saying you filed for migraines as direct instead of secondary. Now you are rated for mental health, and now you want to file migraines again, it would be a supplemental claim, okay? You have to do a supplemental claim. Although you went direct and now it's secondary, the VA doesn't care. There's a long explanation of that, but the short answer is you have to do a supplemental. MK Ultra Vibes, thank you for being a member. I appreciate it, brother. He says, what's the point of an attorney? I just fired mine for not doing anything. I wasn't going to pay them for something I did, and they must sit back and collect. Yeah, so an attorney comes in clutch in niche situations. This is completely my opinion, by the way. So for instance, here's an example. There's one veteran I was speaking with. They had all the evidence, okay, to include a private Nexus and a private DBQ, which, hey, whatever. That's the route that they went down. They submitted the claim. They were denied, okay? Could that person have done an HLR on their own? Yes. Absolutely, they could have. But looking at that veteran situation, because it was for mental health, I think GERD and IBS was there. I think migraines was present. They elected to get an accredited attorney. That attorney is going to use the law and the evidence to say, hey, there's no reason you guys should have denied this, especially because that veteran had the evidence, okay? Another thing that's the most common thing, MK Ultra Vibes. Another reason for attorneys is going to be back pay, right? So an attorney can go back to 2012. A mistake was made, and they say, hey, you should have been rated for this. And now you're going to have back pay from what's that, 12 years worth of back pay? That's something that they can do because they have access to all of your records. Where a claims coach is just kind of taking your word because they don't have access to your records, right? They're not supposed to. They also don't submit claims for you, but attorneys aren't needed. It's just like private Nexus and private DBQ, not needed for a claim at all, but they can come in clutch given the situation that you're in. VA Housing Education, David Pietik, what's up? He says, what's up, Clay? Great info as usual. Thanks, David. David is the VA home loan dude. So if you guys are purchasing a home, check him out. Veterans Eyes on VA. Too bad the VA doctors won't, in many cases, diagnostic condition they know exists in the veteran for whatever ulterior reasons, but maybe because they don't want the VA to have to pay the veterans. That's not really why Veterans Eyes on VA. I'm just gonna call you VE. You make a good point. I don't want to attack what you said, but the VA is very slow to diagnose, but they are very quick to provide treatment. Okay, I'll show you proof. See this right here? This is all my medications. All right. Now, whether I take that or not, that's a different story. But they are very quick to provide treatment because that's what VA healthcare is in the business of, is to treat veterans. Your primary healthcare team doesn't care about your disability claims. They're there to treat. Alex and Things, I got you. Trying to spam the chat. You know what? I'm just gonna hide them. They're not there to build your case for you. Okay, that's your job. They're there to treat you, and they will. I've had good experiences with VA medical centers. That's just me. Okay. I understand that's not the case for a lot. Dennis McDonald, should I file all claims at once if some are direct and some are presumptives? Dennis, the answer to when or how many claims you file is, do you have the evidence for them? Okay, if you have the evidence, submit the claim. Your intent to file gives you 1 year to gather that evidence. Use it. There's no reason you should not submit a claim if you still have time left on your intent to file. There's no reason at all. I totally understand that a lot of companies, specifically ones that charge you 6 times the increase, will say only file 1 or 2 claims at a time. That's stupid, right? From a business perspective, that is them. Let me rephrase that. If I ran a business, I would want to develop a client. Okay, that's how I would do it. So if you have the evidence, dude, just submit. It's not a, there's no reason to overcomplicate it. I like your hat. Thank you. I love these hats. Okay, I love these hats. There are 2 more left. That's it. 2 more left. I'm probably not going to order more unless for some reason people request them, but whatever. Okay. John B. Also, when you do your PHA, take them seriously. Absolutely. If you're active duty right now, whether that's an annual health assessment or your pre or post deployment health assessments, that is when it comes to medical evidence, your health assessments are your golden standard. Okay, it's the golden standard. If you have a complaint on a PDHA, very difficult to deny that claim. Very, very difficult. Okay, Charles Bortkin. I'm sure I butchered that. On the ED claim, I was sent to due to low T and was prescribed androgen gel, T-gel, and they noticed my gland isn't great. What would I get a percentage? Yeah, man, so any sort of erectile dysfunction, penile dysfunction, whatever it looks like, is generally going to be SMCK, which is going to be 0%. It's like $132 on top of your check. Now, there are other disabilities that stem from that, okay? It just depends. Veterans Eyes on VA. While I agree with you, you need a diagnosis and evidence to believe that there are many who work in the VA that do not have ulterior motives, who seek promotion and bonuses. Yeah, I just can't, there's no evidence to substantiate that claim, right? That's kind of where, not that I'm defending the VA, okay? But I can't arguably say VA healthcare providers are in it for anything else rather than treatment, because I have no evidence to say that. Now, if you present me evidence, I would love to, I'll definitely make a video on it, do all of that stuff. But yeah, we can do that. Raymond Scott, hit like. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Andrew, just had my mental health increase exam. Hopefully she had all the info she needed and just said, yeah, he deserves the increase. It lasted 8 minutes. Depends, man, Andrew. So ideally with increases, what's this live stream about? VA disability, VA benefits in general. You can ask me a question and I'll answer it. Can I please get banned? Gorilla Beat VR, not Big Dog. Okay. Back to increases. No, you don't have to have evidence to submit the increase. That's not what I recommend. That's just a technical answer. Generally, for increases specifically for mental health, because it's not something that can be x-rayed, okay? There's a personality factor during the CMP exam. I always recommend veterans gather the evidence from their healthcare team, whether you're seeing a psychologist, a psychiatrist, whatever that looks like. So now you have documented symptoms, then you can make the argument given the VA gives you a lower rating or they deny the increase, okay? Sergio Alvarez, are all my ratings at risk for reduction if I file TDIU? No. Or only what I include? No. No. Especially after the OIG report of 22, you're really not seeing conditions that aren't static, okay? Not at the scale that they were prior to that report. I wouldn't sweat it, okay, Sergio? I think you said you were rated 70% for PTSD with TBI and then 50% for migraines. Don't sweat it, okay? Do not sweat it whatsoever. You do want to make sure your evidence is tight. If it is, go for it. All right, Jessica Brown, aid in attendance supplemental claim. Someone added 2 issues. Is this a good sign? It's not a bad sign, right? It's just your evidence is showing cause for whatever it is that they added. So it's good. Chris Supertramp, I like her name. My CMP examiner marks that my eye condition affects my ability to work. Is that a good sign? Yeah, absolutely. It's a documented symptom from the CMP examiner, okay? 100%. It's don't take the 100% literal. It just means yes. Can you say Kiko, it's my name? Dude, this YouTube short vertical form thing is so weird. The people that come in on here, but whatever. Yeah, come hang out with us. That's fine. Even though I'm not, so this is from Veterans Eyes on VA. Even though I'm not a Trump person, Trump did execute executive order speeding up discharge a student loan debt for 100%. Yeah, solid. Solid. Apex 650 attended my CMP exam at the physician assistant. Said she only received 40 pages of my records. My MST has, or your military service treatment records has over 1,000. So it depends what that claim is for, right? If you're claiming a knee condition, they don't need, that CMP examiner doesn't need to see your blood work, okay? And so the VA's job is to send the examiner the relevant medical evidence. There's no reason to send a 1,000-page document that has nothing to do with whatever it is you claimed. Now, that doesn't mean that they sent all the relevant evidence. Okay, the OIG report from 22 really hits on the VA not following procedures for proper CMP exams. But it sounds like, and just from this comment alone, it sounds like it's going to work out in your favor, right? Because you do have evidence. All right, Riley Galasso, what does your company do? What's your occupation? Yeah, so one, TheCivDiv is a company out of Virginia. All I do is make YouTube videos, okay? I have a website. I actually do YouTube consulting on the side. That's something completely outside of this channel. But that's what I do. I don't charge veterans anything. Help with their claim, whatever. You can join the Facebook group, ask your questions. All right. Andrew Colip. Nope, no script. Okay, yeah. My occupation. I'm a Army civilian employee, right? For on the GS scale, I'm a curriculum developer and instructor. I teach a bunch of nerdy stuff. Obviously, I use that skill set to teach veterans about disability. I have zero intentions to ever quitting my job and doing YouTube full time, no matter what, ever. All right, different veterans' compensation claims end up differently. Not okay. Different judges as well. All right, Charles Bortkin. Okay, here we go. Went to my primary doctor and claimed about headaches, and I kept complaining, and they issued me sumatriptan and kept a migraine log. Is that good evidence for a claim? It is. Okay, sorry. Reading sentences, it's kind of hard. Philip, I didn't skip you. So, Charles Bortkin. Yeah, I did not skip you, Philip. That's good evidence to detail your symptoms, right? What's missing, so that's a solid current diagnosis and continuity in symptoms. What's missing a part of that is actually the first one, which is the evidence from service. There's 4 things that you need, and you can use this to speak to a CMP examiner. One, it's the in-service event. What is your evidence from service? Do you have a current diagnosis? Do you have a treatment plan? What are your symptoms? You can use those 4 to communicate to the CMP examiner, and then obviously be awarded that claim. No, not a doctor at all. I'm from middle of nowhere, Kentucky, with a Kentucky public school education. I did go to college. Okay, there it is. Not for anything that was hard. Okay. All right, Tour God, you want to do a music? All right, so let's see. Cinnamon Buns, what's up? I like your name. Hello, sir. Do you know if drug testing happens at CMP exams? Not at CMP exams, okay? Depending on what medications you're on, your primary healthcare team at the VA they are going to request blood work. If you are on drugs, right? Primarily marijuana, right? Be transparent with your healthcare team. Absolutely. Be transparent with your healthcare team. Don't lie to them. They are focused on healthcare team, okay? Mivry 20, Brody, I see ya. Did a higher level review. They found duty to assist error, no CMP exam for sleep apnea and diabetes and hypertension. The VA asked CMP examiner whether, I don't see the other part of that, so I don't know your question. But let's talk about higher level reviews. I'll just kind of give you a general answer. So your higher level review was concluded with the duty to assist error, which means it's now a supplemental claim, and they're going to have to develop whatever the duty to assist error was. Okay. Tour God says, where were you stationed at, and also what branch? So my first 4 or 5-ish years, I was on Lejeune. I was in the infantry in the Marine Corps. After that, I moved into psychological operations and went up to Quantico, which was very, very weird. And I would pump out multiple times throughout that 10-year time frame. James says, hey man, how about looking at my decision letters I sent you an email about 4 days ago? James, I have over 1,000 unread emails. Over 1,000, okay? Over 1,000. So I'm not answering emails, in short. That's why I've created the Facebook group. It's in the description. You can join it. You will be able to post anonymously, redact your PII, and then myself, Jay, there's some attorneys on there, and other veterans will answer whatever questions that you have, okay? There's a pinned post up there. You know what? I'll just kind of show you what it looks like. There's a pinned post that you can follow. It's the same template that I use for whenever I'm looking at a veteran's situation. Okay. Here it is. That's the Facebook group, and this is the pinned post. So there's 5 questions I want you to answer. Then if you have any decision letters, you can go ahead and do that, right? So what are you service connected for? What have you been denied? Years of service, deployments, we're looking at presumptives, and then any current claims in process. And then below that, it kind of gives you an example of how to answer those questions. If you want help on your claim, Facebook is the best route. Just there's no way. I got 4 kids. There's no way I'm answering 1,000 emails. Just can't do it. All right. Dude, what the heck? Okay. Another question. Let me, all right. Lynn, I'm 10% cervical, 10% lumbar thoracic, 10% lumbar strain. Okay, that's solid. Solid back ratings. Could my hip issues be secondary? Absolutely it could, okay? I would also look at other secondaries from the spine, right? So nerve damage in your sciatic nerve. So if your legs go numb, I would look at nerve damage in from your neck pain or in your shoulders, like carpal tunnel, cubital nerve damage, radiculopathy in your arms, any of those. All right. Angela B, what's up? Hi. Thank you for being a member, and thank you for being a moderator. A moderator. The live is about VA disability. Okay. Mr. Williams, is chronic pain associated with mental health issues, depression, anxiety? It is. It absolutely is. And I'm going to give you my opinion on this, and this is controversial, just heads up. Okay. When I see someone submit a mental health secondary to chronic pain, and that chronic pain is coming from like a 10% back rating or like a 10% knee, one or two things is going on. One, is it really? Is it really? Two, you're severely underrated for your knees or your back, okay? None of that is in 38 CFR. That's just my opinion. And so really, whenever you see mental health as a secondary to musculoskeletal conditions, it's like your high ratings for back, like a 40% back rating, right? Or your high ratings for your knees, they're 30% for each knee. You could imagine, you know, you're always in pain for whatever condition. You can't throw the baseball with your son. You can't do, you know, you can't enjoy life with your family. That could lead to some depression, right? That's just my opinion. But yes, it can absolutely be connected. Just depends on your evidence. Brianna says, hello, boy. Hi. I feel like it's a bit weird. Can you give me a shout out? Can you tell me what branch of service you were in and when you served? Have a question? I have an answer. Is there a rating for possible nerve damage in feet due to extreme cold exposure while training? Yes, absolutely there is. And so looking at how the nerves are rated, generally that's going to be covered under the sciatic nerve, right? Because the sciatic nerve runs, this is your lower back, it runs through each leg all the way down. So if you have sciatic nerve, it's capped. But if you have nerve damage below the knee or in the feet, absolutely you can. G. Scott, he says, hey, from Oklahoma, what's up? How's it going? Teddy Woodson, I actually had 5 DBQ medical opinions generated, and my CMP yesterday was for migraine, headaches, left and right feet, and right shoulder. I was basically asked when did it start and what are my current symptoms. Okay, very, very common for, dude, what is up with these stupid people on the, whatever. Okay, I should expect it at this point. Very common for CMP exams. When did it start? What are your symptoms? That's it, okay? Now, ideally, you have evidence to back that up, and what you're saying isn't anything new. Picture perfect, whatever comes out of your mouth in a CMP exam, you're just referencing your evidence. Oh, well, I have a complaint from active duty of my shoulder from 2015. The pain started, around that time. It got worse over time. Here's my treatment plan. Since then, I've been going to my private insurance or VA healthcare. I've had a current diagnosis, and here are my current symptoms. That's exactly how you answer that. What you don't say is, I don't know, maybe, a few years ago, like 2018-ish time frame, I don't know, my shoulder, it hurts, right? One of those is good, one of those is bad. Did not actually get diagnosed with frostbite. Unfortunately, feet got very cold. Yeah, if you have a condition that you believe is linked to service and you have the evidence, submit the claim. Shadow Wolf says, I'm trying to go live and it's not working. It's probably because you don't meet the criteria for YouTube. Jimmy Williams, good morning. It is, I think you're in Okinawa, if I remember. It is 5:45 p.m. here. Charles Raby, yeah. Orthopedic said, gout of the knee, secondary to patellar, C word, podiatry and ortho both will not say if my bilateral flat feet and left foot fracture caused it. Come on, dude. What is going on? Okay, sorry. Flat feet. You're trying to build evidence for secondary service connection. You're on the right track. Keep going down it. Ideally, you want your healthcare team to say that's the cause, or at least indicate that's the cause, okay? Now, it sounds like you have documented symptoms, and to be real with you, I would just submit the claim based on that alone, okay? But I'm curious to know what your actual evidence does say specifically. Kevin BS05 talked to Vera yesterday. Apparently my claim is 2 weeks out for decision. That's good news. Outlaw, hey Clay, what's up? What's good? What's poppin'? Outlaw, let me, keep me in the loop on what we discussed. I want to know. I want to know if the prospect is good. Jarvio Rayford, I know I butchered that. If I submit for sleep apnea now, would they honor my rating before? Yes. Okay. Yes. Sometimes the VA is stupid, right? Hey, you're asked. I will get to your question. Try not to say the same thing 60 times. Okay. Sometimes YouTube sucks, and this is a good example because myself included and everyone else all made videos on tinnitus changes, mental health, and sleep apnea and GERD shape changes. Okay. What that does is just puts baloney in people's mind because all of it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. What matters is, do you have evidence for a disability that can be service connected? If the answer is yes, gather the evidence, submit the claim. Nothing else matters, okay? To answer your question, it's yes, but nothing else matters. Just kind of wanted to, I'm not attacking you. I just wanted to go on that, 30-second rant just to kind of clear the air. All right, Bryn, sorry I have to go now. I subscribed. You're the best. You're the best. Okay? You're the best. Veterans Eyes on VA. The new slogan, Army of One, sounds like the Borg. You will be assimilated. Hey, just to check something, I took up skydiving as a hobby in the military. Did it outside of working hours and all. I can file against that for things like back and knees. Yes, okay. I would probably frame that a little differently. The answer is yes. If you're off work, if you're active duty and you're off work and you get in a car accident or you have a boating accident or you're going skydiving If you're injured while active duty, right, you are a Marine 24/7, you're an airman 24/7, that can be claimed. You still need the evidence. You still need the big three, okay? But the answer is yes. Can you tell us how that smoothie tastes? This was sweet tea. It's gone now. I'm in Northern Virginia, just below DC, so tea is hard to come by. That's why I got Chick-fil-A tea, and this is coffee. Chick-fil-A coffee. It's fake. Arist, I'm not skipping your question. I just haven't got. I'm answering questions in order from top down. Secret sauce, I'm currently 94% VA math, thanks to you and Dr. Sharma. But I also have one foot condition with solid evidence, but I feel more comfortable using a private Nexus and DBQ. You know how CMP examiners are. I do, okay? I never recommend a private Nexus and DBQ unless you've been denied and you have the evidence. It sounds like you have the evidence, you're just missing that denial. That's a personal opinion of mine, okay? The technical answer is, can you get a private Nexus and DBQ to strengthen your claim? Absolutely you can. I'm not going to recommend it, right? But you absolutely can. And there's some pluses to that, okay? One, if you're denied, it makes your higher level review really strong off the bat. And that's assuming the private Nexus and DBQ are good, okay? You know the partners I have are good, so yes. Chris Kunanen, sorry. Hello, Clay. Hello. Hello, Chris. During my BDD upcoming CMP exams, do you recommend that I bring personal statement, or will my medical evidence be sufficient? Ideally, your medical evidence is sufficient. Ideally, okay? I get that's not the case for everyone. Can you throw up from, yeah, you can absolutely throw up from migraines. Okay, back to you. There are certain disabilities I always recommend a personal statement for. Number one is migraines, okay? Migraines. Number two is mental health. Now, mental health, I don't really care about a statement from the veteran, okay? I care about a statement from your spouse, your close family and friends, because a lot of the criteria for mental health is the inability to maintain effective relationships, right? Emotionally connect, or be like emotionally distant. I'm sure there's a better word for that. But those are the two I generally recommend statements for, generally. Again, my opinion, okay? I've seen a lot of millionaires on YouTube just dying to give me their secrets so that I can become a millionaire if I pay them. Yeah, I'm not, yeah, like, invest in this and whatever. That's not me. Lady Kane, VA mass sends meds all the time. Absolutely, the VA is very, very hardcore when it comes to giving out medication. I would argue over medicating. I don't have the ability to make an argument from that. That's just my opinion. All right, LOMF always. Who do you complain to when you went to the ER last week and the ER intake nurse says that you do not have SI or depression without asking, then other nurses just copy her? First of all, there's a lot going on in there. One, do you have the diagnosis? Because if so, then a nurse doesn't matter, okay? Especially if we're talking like depression. There's so much context that I need from this ER visit to really give you any sort of, weighted advice or recommendations. Jesse says, what does CivDiv mean? It's a Marine Corps thing. When you leave the Marine Corps, because you join the Marine Corps, you become a Marine. Or you don't join the Marine Corps, you become a Marine, so you're a Marine forever. It's a stupid Marine thing. But when you get out, you either, you don't get out, you just join 1st CivDiv. So you go from 1st Marine Division or 2nd Marine Division, 3rd doesn't count, no offense, and then you join the Civilian Division or CivDiv. So that's what the name is from. That's why I have the crown, you know, CivDiv thing in it. Simple, stupid, catchy. I like it. Okay. Can you repeat it again? I have it. I just got here. I don't know what you're talking about, Omar. SM, hey Clay, please add a tab and the disability increase video to CivDiv online homepage. You have a BDD tab, but an increase tab. Increase tab. I'm gonna freeze because I'm gonna go to my notes section and add that to my notes real quick. I'll be back in like 10 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Yes, I just added, well, I put the note down to remind me of it. How do I become a private client? I don't do that. I'm not in the business of claims consulting, which is illegal. Both federally and then a few states. What's the live stream about? VA disability claim. Well, VA benefits. Eugene, Clay, could you explain what Terra development is? Yeah, toxic exposure risk activity. Don't quote me on that. Basically, when you submit a claim, the VA has a duty to look at direct, secondary. They have a duty to look at all avenues of service connection, right? And so that's why you'll see the sleep apnea claim go through Terra, okay? You'll see that on your decision letter. There's no such thing as a Terra claim. It's just the VA doing what they're supposed to be doing. Jay Bish, hi CivDiv, what's up? 3-branch retiree here. That's a bit much. Leukemia diagnosed in 17, in remission. You have fatigue, filed claim, was denied, comp awaiting board. Any advice at all? You're at the board, brother. You're at the board. Thanks, Greg. I also saw your message there. Very, very curious. I'm going to have to look into that. You're at the board, man. The advice is hang on tight. You know, generally speaking, when it comes to the board, that's really when we start looking at representation. So let me know if you have a rep for that. I'm just going to say BLK. I was denied a pre-existing condition for flat feet. What do you suggest to be my next step? This is the most common denial for a pre-existing condition, which is flat feet, okay? Extremely, extremely common to have flat feet and then join the military. So your entrance exam has flat feet, which sucks because now you have to have evidence showing that your service made that condition worse. Ideally, this is easy, right? Because you went through your service, your feet became more painful, so you complained about them, and then you were diagnosed. You know, instead of acute pes planus, now you have, you know, chronic pes planus with pronounced whatever it's called. Ideally, that's the case. Now, how many veterans have that evidence? About none. So what you have to do is get creative at arguing how your service made that condition worse. So first of all, what was your diagnosis for flat feet prior to service, and then what is it now? That's what I want to know first. Second is, do you have medical evidence from service about your flat feet? That answer is probably no, but I still want you to answer it. Third is, if you don't have evidence, what evidence other than medical could you correlate to that, right? So for instance, I had a friend who is Gringo. What up, big dog? Come on, man. You gotta be smarter than that. I had a friend who was denied flat feet. Same thing, pre-existing denied. What he had to do was, he also had 7 combat deployments. Iraq, Afghan, Syria, all three of those. You could see how he could create an argument that his deployments caused his flat feet, his foot condition, to go from acute to chronic. All right, what's the VA rating for unspecified convulsions? 1 second. Chris Gutierrez, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Want to remind everyone here that Clay is the man. Thank you. Thank you. Clay for U.S. Senate. Yeah, right. Yeah, right, dude. Like I'm about to hang out with a bunch of old people. Okay. Unspecified convulsions. I want to know what's causing it. But looking at seizures and convulsions, let me tell you what I just did. I'm going to teach you how to fish, okay? I'm teaching you how to fish. This applies to everyone. You see this right here? This is called Google. Well, this is Bing. Same thing. I Googled what you said in 38 CFR ECFR. All right? I'm going to click on it, and then you can read all this stuff right here. It tells you how it's rated. That's how you understand how stuff is, how the VA rates conditions, okay? Convulsions. Generally, I mean, I see a buttload of 100% here, a buttload of notes. So the answer with your comment only is anywhere from 10 to 100. That's a bad answer. I understand that. Top 10, super chat. Oh my goodness, I just lost my spot. Hold on, let me answer another question. I'll get there. I will get there in a second. Okay, here we go. Arist, here we go. I'm on your question now, brother. Okay, I'm assuming you're a dude. What's the VA? Oh no, that was your question. Sorry. 38 CFR. Okay, let me explain 38 CFR to you, right? I know you had asked that question a lot. I wanted to make sure that I answered this question. 38 CFR is federal regulation that guides the VA, right? Every decision the VA makes is based on two things. 38 CFR, and there's something called the M21 TAC 1, which is like really nerdy stuff. Don't even worry about that. So what you can do is just Google your condition, 38 CFR ECFR, okay? I'll kind of put the formula in chat, CFR ECFR. So for instance, if I wanted to look up mental health, 38 CFR ECFR, click the very first link that pops up, and it will tell you exactly how that condition is rated. It looks at symptoms. The VA rates symptoms, okay? The diagnostic codes are not the same as like an ICD or an SCT code. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. The VA will rate symptoms, and they will do VA stuff, okay? And with 38 CFR, with whatever condition it is that you're claiming, you can understand, one, the symptoms that you're experiencing, and two, it will help you articulate your symptoms to an examiner that is measuring your symptoms. All right, Chris Hillard, what's the best way to get in touch with you for a one-on-one? I am going to do I'm going to start doing one-on-ones, just like the two I posted. I'm going to start doing those for free, obviously. I just need time to get set up, right? I'm doing a drawing based, and once that information comes out, I'll push it out, right? If you were on the stream yesterday, you already know. But that was for that stream only. So once I'm pretty much under my feet and get a few things done, I'll be doing some more one-on-ones. Okay. Victoria Lampanto. Can I submit a claim with just the in-service treatment records and VA Blue Button evidence? That's exactly what you do. I don't have a DBQ. I'm clueless on how to do that. But do the records work for the Nexus? Exactly. Exactly what you just said is perfect, okay? Now, generally speaking, Victoria, there's no need to submit your STRs and your Blue Button report with your claim, okay? There's no need for it. The VA is going to have it. Now, what you could do if you were really anal about it, you could pull the relevant medical evidence from both of those and then submit it with your claim if you wanted to. So for instance, if you're claiming lower back, whatever lower back evidence you have in your service treatment records and whatever lower back evidence you have in your VA medical records, you can pull those, create a solid PDF, and say, boom, here you go. It helps the VA out when it comes to reviewing your evidence, okay? That's a solid technique. You don't have to do it. It's not required. It's recommended by me, okay? But there's no requirement for it. But you said, but do the records work for the Nexus? They do. Your evidence builds the Nexus. So when you submit the claim, the VA will review your evidence. They'll push that claim to, or they'll push what's needed to a CMP examiner, and with that, the relevant evidence to the examiner. Then the examiner will complete what's called a DBQ. They complete it, you don't. Disability Benefits Questionnaire. The DBQ, along with your evidence, becomes the foundation of the Nexus, right? The DBQ builds the Nexus, and that's how veterans are service connected. Angela B, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, and you just did a $10 donation. Thank you, Angela. One, for being a member. Thank you for the donation, and for being a moderator. I appreciate it. Yes, thank you. Okay. Angela is badass. Charles, on my migraine question, I was around the loud noise exposure and I have tinnitus, but I wasn't diagnosed with migraines when I got out. Are you diagnosed now? Because that would be pretty solid, okay? If not, you're gonna want to get that diagnosis and get a treatment plan, start gathering the evidence. It sounds like you're implying secondary, which is totally possible. It's not the easiest claim in the world, but it's definitely possible. Lynn says, I want to shout out USMC 2000 to 06, Radbin. Radbin, that's awesome. The SIGINT world. I worked a lot with some Radbin dudes when I was in Syria on the PSYOP side of the house. I've definitely been acquainted with the Radbin community. So that was second Radbin? No, third? I don't know. Whatever. Okay. David says, whoa, what is this? This is where people ask me VA benefit questions and I answer it, at least to the best of my ability. Randall, what criteria is used to rate for a heart disease when metabolic stress test can't be used because a vet is in a wheelchair? There are other ways to test that, like EKGs, okay, to test a heart. I'm not, you know, this question is out of pocket for me to answer because it's how the healthcare community, right, the medical community is going to test for your heart disease, and I'm sure there's other ways to do that. Am I cool? I mean, I got a backwards hat on. I think that's pretty cool. Can you have a shout out? You got to tell me what service you were in and when you served, right? And what you did too. I want to know what you did. Thank you, Lynn, for that. Can you throw up from an aura migraine? Absolutely. Okay. You're really stepping into Meniere's territory with migraines and dizziness, vertigo. You probably have tinnitus and hearing loss. You're really, really marching into Meniere's disease territory. So definitely get checked for that. David says USMC 02 to 2010, 0151. I don't know what an 01. That's 2 Marines so far. That has. You know what? Put down your branch when you served and your MOS, and I'll just kind of run through them. I don't know what 0151 is, though, in the Marine Corps. It is personnel. Okay, awesome, cool. The one field. Dude, I do peer support at the VA. That's what you were doing. Awesome, David. Pedro Cruz, do you have a sample statement for mental health? Not for mental health. I could make one. That's a good idea. I have one for migraines. That's a basic template that you can use. Just go to CivDivOnline.com. Top left, click that. It'll say templates. You'll see it. It'll give you a Google Doc that you can download or copy paste or whatever you want to do. Alex Gray, I received from the hospital. Okay. Brody Shaw, good to go. The best, be back. Keep up the incredible work. I'm trying. Public says I have children in my house. Me too. I'll show you this. See that over there? Oh, you can't see it because of dang. Whatever. There's a billion toys over there. My ring light is way too bright. There's a lot of toys. David says third doesn't count. Yeah. Third Marine Division. All right. Taylor says diagnosed with bruxism July of 23. Supplemental claim for PTSD, which I had CMP exam completed on January 11th. Should I wait for a decision? Yeah, so bruxism is one of those. So this is another stupid thing about YouTube. YouTube is good and bad. Okay. YouTube created bruxism, right? There's a joke between that. Bruxism is a disability that is usually a underlying condition. If you're talking PTSD, hardcore on the anxiety side, it's going to be roped in with it. To be honest with you, I wouldn't even deal with it. I wouldn't even worry about it. Pedro Cruz, I just answered your question. CivDivOnline.com, CivDivOnline.com, top left, templates, and then you'll see there's a link to a Google Doc there. All right, Eugene. So when I got my HLR decision letter, they said we will conduct Terra development. Yeah, Terra development. Toxic exposure risk activity. It's the VA's duty to assist, right? The VA has to explore all avenues of service connection. David says, do you know what the first step of this whole process triggers everyone? My opinion on the first step that triggers everyone, I wouldn't word it like that, but probably just knowing what you can and cannot submit, right? Like, what is VA disability? I wish we change names for no reason all the time. I wish VA disability would just be X'd out and they would just call it VA compensation. I think that would kind of change the culture or the outlook on VA disability. Because you say disabled, it's like, well, I'm not disabled, right? I am 31 years old. I have 4 kids. I am as active as I can be. I take medication when I have to, but I'm not disabled. You know, I'm a federal employee for the Army. I'm not disabled. So VA disability has a negative connotation to it. That's probably my opinion on the very, 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 very first step when it comes to disability. Been denied because I have little to no evidence and finding it difficult to get any, only have private evidence, which they are not giving much weight to. Yeah, you need evidence. Not just, so everyone talks about evidence, especially YouTube. I am on the anti-YouTube train today, which is weird because it's me. I'm also a part of this group. I'm not excluding myself from this group of YouTube phenomenons, okay? Everyone talks about evidence, which is good, but YouTube, and please disagree with me if you want. I find that I am the only one who talks about evidence from service. Everyone talks about evidence from the VA or evidence from your private insurance, your private healthcare team, which is good. Continuity is good, but that's just number 2. You need an in-service event, a current diagnosis, and a nexus. You have to have evidence from service. Not just medical evidence would be ideal. There's other evidence too. You have to have evidence from service, i.e. the in-service event. That's not an opinion. That is a fact. 38 CFR. That is a fact, okay? So, whatever. That's my rant. Yeah, man, you need to have evidence, both in service and current. How could people join the military and not expect to leave without difficulties? Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So, when I'll talk about myself. When I joined the Marine Corps, I had zero indications or thought. It wasn't even disability wasn't even a thought until I was leaving the Marine Corps, right? Until I went to a transition assistance program. The Marine Corps calls it Transition Readiness Seminar, or TRS. I had some old dude from DAV talk to us. He ended up sucking, by the way, but I had no idea what it was until then, right? So had I not gotten that brief, I would have never even thought about VA benefits at all, ever. And I'm sure that's the same for most veterans, especially the old timers in here. I say old timers as a joke, but there's a lot of truth to that. Wayne Ketter says, "Be the change in government." Yeah, no. I get no one knows me personally here, right? But I'll just give you some generalized facts. A ton of Marines are libertarians, especially the ones that are from the Southeast. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Mike Dietz says, "I have 100% P&T on one claim." Okay, I mean that sucks healthcare wise, but congrats for getting that connected. I have 0 on another, which I think should be higher. The question is, if I were to expire, okay, so you want to increase your 0%. One, what is it for? I'm gonna assume it's hearing loss. Okay, if that's the case, don't worry about it. But let me know what it's for. I can tell you right now, just from this comment, like 99% of the time, I'm just gonna recommend don't worry about it. Right, your P&T, you're fine. Now, if that opens up, you're fine for benefits. If that opens up avenues to other benefits like SMCs or car grants or home improvements, whatever that means, then maybe. JK, I can't. Kia. Question: Can flat feet be secondary to service-connected knees? I'll give you 2 answers on this one. Okay, 2 answers. I guess it's 3. 1, theoretically, any condition can be secondary to anything as long as you have the evidence. That last part's key there. So as long as you have the evidence, yes, and that's for anything to anything. 2, generally speaking, when you look at musculoskeletal conditions, especially flat feet, it's usually the inverse. So you want to go from knees to feet. What you generally find is feet causing knees, right? I'm not sure about the inverse relationship there. I'm also not a physician, okay? But from what I've seen of helping veterans, any secondary I've ever seen has always been bottom to top, always. Third, again, here's a YouTube thing, man. YouTube phenomenons. Everyone talks about how easy it is to claim a musculoskeletal condition secondary to another musculoskeletal condition. So, for instance, knees or flat feet to knees or knees to flat feet. Everyone talks about how easy that is. I'm going to tell you right now, it's difficult. It is difficult to connect other joints and appendages to each other. It's a difficult claim. You're going to have very, very strong evidence, and you're going to have a rock star, stellar CNP exam. That's my opinion. Okay, you won't find that anywhere, in doctrine. That's my opinion, and I'm saying that just from looking at tons and tons and tons of veteran situations. All right, Charles, I filed PTSD in October of 2020 and waiting on a hearing. Yep, so you're at the board. I filed for PTSD, got awarded 30%. Will that claim for waiting a hearing be dropped? Or will I still get? I'm confused on this. I would just call the VA. I'm confused on your question of how it's worded. Feel free to drop it back in the chat. I will just call the VA and just ask them straight up. Okay. TheCivDiv, my VSO put in my claims under Terra. I don't know why I didn't catch it. It was supposed to be secondary to service-connected conditions. No such thing. Okay. No such thing. There's no such thing as a PACT Act claim or a Terra claim. Doesn't exist. Okay. So don't worry about it. Now, a claim was submitted. I'm gonna give the VSO the benefit of the doubt that they did connect or submit it secondary, but let's just say that they did direct. The answer is it doesn't matter because the VA is gonna look at all avenues of service connection, all avenues. Okay, so that's why the Terra exam is warranted because they're looking at presumptive. Did something that's covered under legislation lead or aggravate this condition? Yes or no? Okay. So there's no such thing as submitting a TARA claim or a PACT Act claim. The reason why we hear that phrase is because, again, YouTube, people say things that are not technically correct, and although it's a slight change, people just freaking run with that, man. They just run with it, and all of a sudden we got misinformation, and now we're here, okay? So there's no such thing. Don't worry about it. B-Town RP, what up, Brody? I was just approved 60% for disability. Okay, congrats. Do I need to add my kids now that I'm approved? What else is needed to be done? The VA was vague on answers. Yeah, spouse, children, dependents, okay? Add your dependents. It's super easy. You could do it probably in like 20 minutes. You can do it online. You can go to a VSO, whichever you prefer. But yes, you want to. Also, you're at 50 plus. You're at 60. So at 50 plus, you have access to healthcare for any conditions, right? So you're good. It's a solid benefits. Start at 50%. CH, my last CMP exam didn't have my blue button cervical MRI. I'm glad I brought a copy of it to the exam. She looked at it and told to go to the VA to have it filed. I thought the VA would provide it. Yes. So that really gets back at the OIG report from 22, which obviously their recommendations didn't stick, okay? What that OIG report goes in depth in is the VA procedures for scheduling CMP exams, and it involves sending all required or all relevant medical evidence, okay? All relevant evidence in general. Obviously, in your case, it didn't happen, so that's a shame on the VA. That's a down mark, okay? But solid that you brought it with you. Victoria says, thank you. I appreciate it. LG, Bro Clay, still trying to help my pops with his TDIU. It's a must, or do you recommend, is it a must, or do you recommend that he seek a vocational person to determine he can't work? Appreciate you, brother. LG, when it comes to, so TDIU is such a weird beast. I'll say this blanketly because I don't know the situation in full. Any evidence that strengthens the claim, yes, right? So if you're able to gather evidence that the service-connected disabilities, that's key, these service-connected disabilities is what's preventing your pops from working, then yes, for sure, every time. It's bugs. I ETS March 7th, and my BDD claim has been in decision-making step 3 since November. I think I'll get a percentage soon. Yeah, but it sounds like awesome. Hopefully you get that before you get out. If you don't worry about it. It'll come. Jamie Thompson, just out of curiosity, why do you not recommend a veteran to get a private IMO or DBQ prior to being denied? Doesn't that prolong the claim? That is a solid question. And again, this is my opinion, okay? So what the question is referencing is, I only recommend veterans to private Nexus and private DBQ if you've been denied and you have the evidence, okay? There's a few reasons for that. One, that is a road that leads straight to, what I would define as a predatory practice, which is what you see these claims holding companies do. That veterans that don't need a private Nexus or a private DBQ are kind of being shuffled to these providers for multiple reasons. One, because there's an affiliate partnership with them, right? That's one. Two, it does make your case stronger, and it's in the instance that the veteran already had the evidence, it's kind of a cushion for that company, right? Because the veteran's paying for the opinion. The company's doing that to make the strongest claim possible, so that way they can kind of guarantee, which isn't a guarantee, but they can guarantee that they're going to get paid, them being the company. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is it's expensive, right? Generally, you're going to spend about $1,000. Okay. I think the two that I work with are from 800 to 950, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Just ask them directly. But this is live. But that's why. Okay. It's a road to it could become predatory, and then 9 times out of 10 you don't need it. And here's when I say you don't need it, I'll explain why. Because if you have the evidence, logically, you say, hey, I have the evidence. A C&P examiner is going to see it, and they're going to connect it. Right? That's the plan. And that happens so often. It's the majority of the overwhelming majority of the time when a veteran has the evidence, meaning in-service event and a current diagnosis, okay? When they have the evidence, they're connected. The reason you only hear about people being denied is because the loudest voice is the one that's being heard. Remember that. People who go through the process super smooth and don't have any issues, they're not on YouTube. Okay, they're not on Facebook groups. It's the ones that have been denied because they don't have evidence, right? Or because of whatever reason. So that's my personal thought process. Can you get a private Nexus and a private DBQ to strengthen your claim up front? You absolutely can, right? There's nothing wrong with it at all. I know the VFW has made a stance on that. I probably disagree with them in that regard. But my cushion for that is if you've been denied and you have the evidence, then that would make me consider going that route. All right, Steph Saint, thank you for the donation. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. How did you learn so much about the VA claims process? Yeah, so quick rant here. After my infantry time, which was like prison time, I moved into PSYOP, the psychological operations community, and that involves the deployments I went on. From that, I had to read a lot of policy and understand legal jargon. I don't want to get into it, okay? I had to understand policy and legal jargon. I just got good at reading government documents, which sucks. When I got out, I went to a VSO in Virginia, the DVS, Virginia Department of Veteran Services or something like that, and they helped me with my first claim, okay? And then when I went back to that same VSO, what I was told is, hey, I think I was 70 out the gate or 80 at the gate. They were like, hey, you got 80, you should be happy with that. Don't worry about it. I knew that sounded weird because I was like, hey, man, I got 5 deployments under me. I'm hurting, okay? There's a lot of stuff that we didn't even talk about. And that was the response I got. So it definitely rubbed me wrong way, okay? It rubbed me very, very wrong. And so my curiosity, right, and probably some mental health deficiencies started a hyper-obsessiveness with just understanding how the VA works, or VA disability works, and it's pretty simple. 38 CFR lays it out. I'm not going to say in plain language, but it is not, it's not complex, right? Every claim needs 3 things: in-service event, current diagnosis, and the Nexus. And those CFR codes are in your decision letter. So you just type up that CFR code, which is exactly what I did. It says, here's how you are service connected. I'm like, oh, awesome. Well, what is the in-service event? Then I started looking at that. I'm like, well, what is a current diagnosis? I started looking at that, and I was like, what is a Nexus? Started looking at that, and then I was helping out my friends. The community I was in, we generally got out all at the same time, so I helped every single one of them, and then that's pretty much how it went, right? And I don't know everything. I have some mentors, right, that are on the chat right now, that kind of guide me when I have specific questions. Thank you for that, by the way. But that's the story of my knowledge, right? Side note, and this sounds weird saying it because I'm not tooting my own horn, but when I read something, I just retain it. Okay, I just remember it forever. I can tell you, the Marine Corps war fighting pubs from my infantry days. Okay, I just remember stuff. All right, Jay Bish says, gotta go, subscribed. Thank you very much. If you're on this live, push like, I'd appreciate it. The best way to support the channel is just hit like. Hit the like button. I love you forever. Dan says, where do I become a member? You know, I don't know, actually. There should be a member button. There's a link in the description, okay? For members, I should probably clear this up too. For members, you don't get anything, right? This is if you want to support the channel. I'm trying to change that, but still making a level playing field because I'm in the business of free. But if you want to support the channel, I'd appreciate it. If your chat comes up as a member, I'll read it. I'll see it. I'll read it. And then I'm going to make a video here soon on my personal disabilities. I'll show you the evidence I use for those, and I'll post that to members only. But that's there isn't going to be any supercharge my VA disability claim bootcamp or anything like that. Can you say my name? It's my birthday. Can you tell me what branch of service you were in, when you were in, and what your MOS was? All right, it's Bugs. Oh, we got you, Bugs. Dan says, hello. I had a CMP exam for mental health, and the examiner mentioned diagnosing me with schizophrenia and another disorder. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Does this negatively affect my claim? No, not at all. Okay. Mental health. So there's a reason. I'll show you. There's a reason mental health disorders are lumped in the same category. It's because they share the same symptoms. Okay. TBI is very often lumped in once you hit that 70% mark. I hope you can see this. All these right here, there's schizophrenia. All these are diagnostic codes per 38 CFR, okay? All these are rated under the general rating formula for mental disorders. Meaning, if you have schizo, if you have general anxiety disorder, if you have PTSD, it's all going to share the same rating, okay? So really, you're saying 6 one way, half a dozen the other. Okay, echo, EKG, and a chemical stress test. Yes, about the heart condition. Yeah, and I'm not a I'm not a cardiovascular doctor at all, but sure. Lynn, thank you very much. I see you answering multiple veterans questions. I love seeing that. Thank you very much. All right. Mahoney says HM2 Navy. What up? If you're a corpsman, that's awesome. If not, that's so cool. All right. B-Town RP. Are kids automatically added to a claim? Do I need to add them? No, you're going to need to add them. Right? Your dependents, you need to add them. Even if you're at 0 or 10%, you can still add them. And then once you hit 20% or higher, it'll be automatic. Okay, we have a super chat here. Steph Saint says, VA Raider here. What's up? I love hearing from VSOs and Raiders and really anyone. Honestly, thought you were also an employee. I fight for vets every day. Thanks for doing that. I'm not an employee, okay? I thought about it. I had a conversation with someone in that community because I'm also a federal employee, right? So I'm on the GS scale. But I just don't want to, I enjoy doing YouTube. I don't want my occupation to interfere with that. All right. But thank you for that. I appreciate it. That's definitely, it makes me feel good. So I definitely appreciate that. AJ, I have 20% back pain initial claim, but now my back's worse. I get shots and therapy. Can I get an increase? You could. So you have the foundation for an increase because you have a treatment plan and you're getting injections, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you're going to rate the increase. What you need to do is understand how the VA rates the back. I'm going to assume you're talking about lower back, lumbosacral, okay, or lumbar. you understand how the VA rates it back. There's 3 ways. You're probably rated on range of motion just by looking at this, which is the overwhelming majority of back ratings. There's incapacitating episodes, and you'll see that with like severe IVDS and bed rest, right? Then arthritis, and I don't think that's what you're rated at. It's probably range of motion, which means look at how the back's rated. I have a video on how the back's rated. It shows you the 38 CFR criteria for the back. And if you would rate the increase, then sure, go for it, okay? Now, it's weird because the injections definitely help your range of motion, okay? So it's a weird balance there, but yeah. Mark Boothman asked a question yesterday, but my internet decided to crash. All right, I got you now. Don't know if you answered it. Received notice that Cop D was service connected in January of 24, claim closed. I don't know what the question is there, Mark. Oh, I see. I thought you had to be at least 60% rated to receive TDIU. I had a claim in for TDIU, but since my Cop D was 0, I thought TDIU was closed. There's a lot of things happening here. I'm just going to address the TDIU portion because I just don't know what your situation is. So Mark, first, there are exceptions to the rule, right? I think migraines is a good example of this. If you have 50% rating for migraines and your migraines truly do prevent you from gainful employment, although it doesn't meet the standard criteria for TDIU, you can still receive TDIU based on migraines alone. Okay, same thing, and there's a few disabilities that applies to. I don't know them all off the top of my head. So blanketly, based on the comments that you have, that's my answer for that. But if you don't know if your claim is open or not, one that was early January, I think you said. If it's late January, maybe. What I would do, Mark, generally, I would just call the VA, ask them, or ask your rep if you're working with a VSO or anyone else. Just ask them, right? You know, can you look behind the curtain and tell me what that looks like? Chris says, Clay, you would be a good senator. I really wouldn't. I hate the government. Okay, I work for the government. My entire adult life has been with the government, but just not a fan, dude. Not a fan at all. You know, Reagan said, this might be a misquote, but paraphrase, he was like, the scariest thing anyone could ever hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Okay, so food for thought. Pedro Cruz, my main question was missed. It was above the sample letter. Okay, you're gonna have to tell me again, big dog. If Pedro Cruz, if you type your question up now, I'll see it live. So let me know. Army service connected 97 to 04, first Cav, second ID, 31 Romeo, multi-channel, so comms. Awesome. Awesome, CH. Cheeto. I had a CMP exam last month for my PTSD. Let me see what time it is. 6:30. I had a CMP exam last month for PTSD after 2 years. He never went over the DBQ or DSM-5 that I was rated at. His conclusion was no medical opinion. WTF does that mean? I'm assuming you're already rated for PTSD, and then you had a re-eval come up, right? So there's no medical opinion because the Nexus has already been established. So it's looking at the symptoms of that condition, in this case, PTSD, right? Whether it remains the same, is decreased or increased. I think that's what you're meaning, okay? I think that's what you're referring to. If not, let me know and just clarify. Philip Holmes says, you look like a pussy to me. Hey, dude, okay. That life is so over for me, big dog. I'm married. I got 4 kids. I ain't got time for that. Come on, dude. What are you, like, in high school? Mark M says, I have a CMP for migraines, but I submitted a medical opinion in DBQ along with ENT records secondary to sinusitis secondary to sinusitis. What are the odds? Based on this comment alone and nothing else, okay, I could say the odds are good because it seems like you have the evidence, right? Because your evidence builds the nexus. You have a DBQ. The DBQ is the foundation for the nexus. You have evidence from ENT, so it sounds pretty solid. There are tons of factors that could make your IMO and DBQ mean diddly squat, okay? Meaning, there's a little box on the DBQ in the very first section. It says, did you review the veteran's records? If so, what records? Depending on how that's answered, so if they reviewed your C file, your STRs, your private records, your VA medical records, solid. If it's blank, which it really wouldn't be, but let's just say it is, all of a sudden that means diddly squat, right? So it depends, man, and that's just one factor. There are many, many others. Star Fury says, good evening, family. What's up? Yeah. I tell you what, man. One thing I've tried to do with this channel specifically is not just make content, because that's what we're going to do. I've tried my best to kind of curate some kind of community, so hopefully it works. Ooh, I got another text. 1 second. Oh yeah, always be good scuttlebutt. Okay, I'm back. Teddy, what is meant by DBQ medical? What is meant by DBQ medical opinion, and is that a good thing? So, let's start with DBQ. Disability Benefits Questionnaire. You can go to Google and type in VA DBQ. VA DBQ. The first link will say Public Disability Benefit Questionnaires, and you can download them and see them. Okay. Now, what is it? It's just a way for the VA to measure your symptoms, right? I say the VA, but it's a CMP examiner to measure your symptoms. That measurement process looks different for everything, right? So how you would determine the severity of symptoms for mental health is very different than determining the severity of symptoms for a lower back, for instance. And the DBQ acts as the guide for the examiner to determine the severity, okay? That's a DBQ. A medical opinion is the nexus. A nexus links one thing to something else, okay? My wife just gave birth to baby number 4, right? The nexus is we fornicated, yeah, we did, and that caused a birth, right? So linking one thing to something else. I don't know why I use that as an example. I thought it was going to be a lot better than it was, but it wasn't. But you get the point. And so in VA disability, the nexus is linking the current diagnosis with your in-service event to your military service. That's for direct claims. For secondaries, the nexus is linking your current diagnosis to the service-connected disability. For presumptive conditions, the nexus wouldn't be medical, it would be presumptive, meaning the VA assumes the nexus. That's what the medical opinion is, okay? Is it a good thing? Yes. Every claim requires a nexus, every single claim. And that's generally provided by the CMP examiner. I'll get to these donations in a second. Thank you very much. A private nexus, and that's when the waters get a little muddy, okay, is a whole different ball game, and generally speaking, it strengthens your claim. It's not a guarantee. 9 out of 10 times you don't even need one anyways, okay? Because just think about it, right? We're not medical professionals here, but we're not stupid either. If I have evidence from service and I have evidence from the VA, right, or private insurance or whoever, so I have current evidence and I have evidence in service, logically, a medical professional would look at that and be like, you know what? That condition is service connected. And that happens an overwhelming majority of the time, believe it or not. Okay, YouTube would tell you otherwise. I'm telling you, a lot of these YouTubers on here are straight up baloney. Okay, and that's just take that with whatever it's worth. That's what the DBQ and Nexus is. Okay, John Rios, thank you very much for the donations. I appreciate it. Or excuse me, Mark Boothman with a $20 super sticker. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I'm glad I was able to answer your questions. John Rios says, I was given 0% rating for bunions after discharge from VA. Believe I was underrated because according to 38 CFR, corrective bunion surgery, which I had, is 10%. How do I correct this mistake? Yeah, so you could do a supplemental. Well, if it's, let me roll back. If you are within your appeal time frame of that claim being decided, it would be a supplemental. If you're not, it would be an increase. Okay. Now there is a, it would be wrong of me not to mention this. Whatever. There's really no good way to start this. There's a chance that if you had hard medical evidence and the VA made a mistake, an attorney could definitely argue for you and get back pay. And so let's say you had 10 years of back pay. That would make me go that route, okay? So whatever your situation is, there you go. Then we have a super sticker from Richard Smith. Thank you very much. I hope I've helped you at least as much as I can from, I'm just some dude in my basement with a sick painting behind me. Okay, Pedro Cruz. All right. Sorry. LOMF always says, how do I become a one-on-one client? There are no clients. That would be the wrong word. I am going to do one-on-one. I'm going to do more one-on-one consultations for free here soon. I need to cover some bases first. There's a few things on my to-do list I really need to knock out. I already have scheduled people that I've told I'll do one-on-ones with first. Let me do that. Once I do that, I'm gonna have a drawing, like a contest almost, to open the playground up for one-on-ones. Juan Cena, I love that name. Blakey, come on, dude. You're not gonna get me with that, Blakey. Okay, CH, nope. Mark M says, what are your thoughts on VeteranAI? Do they actually assist dependency claim that's been in limbo for 8 months? Spoke to them recently. Yes, they absolutely can. Okay, and that would be an instance where you would go that route if you wanted to. 8 months for a dependency claim is pretty wild. That's insane. There's no reason it should take that long. But yeah. What's up from Alabama? My wife is in Alabama right now. She's a huge Alabama fan. So roll tide for all the Crimson people out there. Mr. Wilson says, U.S. Army 02 to current, still active. Keep up the good work. Thank you for your service. Okay. And I will do my best. Mike Dietz says, the 0 is for cancer because it was cut out. Okay. Look at that, Mike. CH Chris, do you have, okay, they're talking to each other. Dan Vidal says, thanks for doing this. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining the stream. Without questions, there's no stream. So thank you. I had CMP exam a few days ago. The VA had me diagnosed with depression, and the examiner also mentioned diagnosis of schizo. Oh, I answered that one. Discerning Dash says, if I get out of the military after getting 100%, can I add my children after having children? Yeah, right. So I just had my 4th child. I've been rated for a minute, okay? I had my 4th child. Here soon, which I don't know why I haven't done it yet, I'm going to add my new dependent to my claim. I'll probably do a video on that. I'll have to redact a ton of PII just to do another how-to tutorial of submitting for benefits or dependents. Clay, can pulsating tinnitus be connected to service-connected hypertension? Can tinnitus be secondary to hypertension? So that's a good thing. That's a good point you make. If you read the proposed changes to tinnitus, if you actually read them instead of listening to old dudes complain about tinnitus, okay, on YouTube, if you read it, one, the changes aren't bad. It's actually good. That's one. Two, the current medical community, and I'm saying this out of ignorance, the current medical community consensus on tinnitus is it's an underlying symptom. It's a symptom of an underlying condition, right? Like hearing loss, or migraines, or TBI, right? Or vertigo. Meaning tinnitus is it's a common secondary. Hypertension, it wasn't on the list that I saw. I don't know the medical literature supporting that, but it makes sense because you have hypertension that could cause anxiety, stress. It's going to cause stress in your body, which could cause anxiety, which could lead to tinnitus. And that's just me logically thinking. Larry says, is this live or Memorex? It's live, big dog. Can varicose veins be linked to chronic back condition that greatly reduces your physical activity? Any condition, any disability, either from service or secondary to a service-connected disability, could be connected, period. CH says, how come medical opinions vary so much? I had 2 C&P examiners with opposing opinions on the same condition. Probably the hardest question I've ever had on these lives, okay? How can medical opinions vary from C&P examiners? There's a few things. One, the level of medical profession of that person, right? I have seen someone submit a private medical opinion from a psychiatrist, a board-certified psychiatrist, okay? And they were sent to a C&P exam that was a nurse practitioner. Not a joke. Not a joke at all. A nurse practitioner. That NP said, hey, they gave an opinion that was unfavorable, and it contradicted the psychiatrist, who is a DO, right? They went to med school. There's a few reasons for that. One, the level of knowledge, or I don't want to say profession, right? Because they are medical professionals, but just not the specialty. Specialty, that's what I want to say. Personality, okay? It could be the evidence that was reviewed. So the VA sends evidence to C&P examiners. So my first question is really, what evidence did they not see? All right? Those are just a few factors. I'm sure there are more. I'm sure there's a better medical way to say that. But that is my 2 cents. H.M. Mahoney. I had a heart attack while serving, redeployed home while on terminal leave, open heart surgery, had 60% rating. I rehabbed out, then got my rating cut to 30%. Looking at residuals, yeah, residuals will do that. But look at that rating criteria, and if you rate that 60% or higher, go for it. Bulachi D. Okay. I filed sleep apnea and GERD under DSC. DSC. I filed OSA and GERD under DSC. OSA and GERD under DSC. I don't know what DSC is. I don't know. Okay. I'll do my best to answer the question. You filed sleep apnea and GERD. VA switched to Terra. No, they didn't. PA told me it's most likely won't get connected. That sucks. Same thing happened at my C&P exam for supplemental with different contractor. Any porters, GERDs in my service treatment records. Okay, a few things here. One, The VA didn't switch it to Robert Rodriguez. Thank you very much for that super sticker. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. The VA didn't switch it to a TARA exam. That's just it's a technicality thing. Don't worry about it. The VA has a duty to assist, and they will explore every avenue of service connection, right? And for sleep apnea and GERD, look at the GI tract and heavy particulate, bad pollution, and that's the Borne way of saying it. That would warrant a TARA exam, which is generally going to be Gen Med, which is probably what your PA appointment was for. Now, that's one. Two, GERD is in your service treatment records. I want to know, is it a diagnosis? Okay. Is it just a documented symptom? What evidence from service are we talking about? If it's a diagnosis, generally speaking, as long as it's currently chronic, that's a solid claim. And if you're denied, okay, I'm all over the place. Generally speaking, if you submit a claim, doesn't matter what it is, you have the in-service event and you have a current diagnosis, if denied, almost every single time I'm going to recommend a higher level review. Okay. Now there's really nothing. It's hard for me to comment on this claim because I don't see your evidence. If the PA with a Gen Med appointment for a TARA exam, maybe she's just saying, maybe they're saying that it's not connected via toxic exposure. That doesn't mean it can't be direct or secondary. Ty Ray Douse, I butchered that, sorry. How do you explain an in-service event that is more slowly breaking, as in the wear of the body? I have a prime example of this, and I've used this example many times. A good friend of mine, 7 combat deployments, has bad knees currently, okay? 0 medical evidence from service, none. That's not good, not even on the exit exam. 0 medical evidence from service, which sucks. Submitted a claim, went to CMP exam, was denied. CMP examiners are really looking at medical evidence. Obviously, that's what they do. Now, that person did a higher level review, talked to the rater with an informal conference, talked about their deployments, their duties on deployments, and then that claim was sent back to the CMP examiner for the examiner to consider the veteran's experiences, right? In this case, it was 7 combat deployments that were all not Kush deployments. We're talking Iraq, Afghan, Syria, 7 real deployments, if you will. Anyways, that veteran was connected, right? And I think that would be a good example of showing slow deterioration without medical evidence. That is evidence other than medical. Is that ideal? No, right? It's a hard argument to make because the VA can always say, there's no medical evidence, okay? It's not. But in that instance, yes. Whew. Cheeto. What do? I talk to myself in my basement on the internet. I had my CMP exam last month after 2 years. He didn't go over DBQ. Oh, we answered that. We answered that one. Oh, we got some chats. Okay. Pedro Cruz, thank you very much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. James Martin. I appreciate that too. Thank you. Awesome. Love to see it. My wife appreciates it. I'll tell you that. And then Steph Saint, a $25 donation. Thank you very much, Steph. I appreciate that. Steph says, MOs, medical opinions, by VA contractors are normally bad. Private medical opinions are often better. I would agree. I agree with that. But there are a lot of gatekeeping raters out there that don't accept any private exams or medical opinion I don't know how they sleep, honestly. Very sad. That's bad. I want to know if is that legal? Is that legal, right? If a veteran does a higher level review with a strong medical opinion and the rater clearly disregarded the private medical opinion and denies it, is that illegal? I want to know that. That's a question I have. Dark chocolate or white chocolate? Dark chocolate. What do you mean? Dark all the way. Like the high percentage cocoa too. No, it's like Hershey dark chocolate. Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me look at where I was at. Okay, Mark says, can you talk about secondary connections versus direct when it comes to evidence? I absolutely can. So, great question. A common question I get is, should I file direct or should I file secondary? There's only one answer to that. One answer. What does your evidence say? If you have evidence for direct, then go direct. Okay? It's obvious, right? If you don't have evidence for direct, then go secondary. It's a caveat there. You still need evidence indicating the secondary service connection, okay? You still need that. Yeah, that's how you determine if you go direct or secondary. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter. The VA is supposed to look at all avenues of service connection anyways, but there you go. Steph, again. Oh, thank you so much. I don't even know what to say. Steph with a $5 donation. Thank you. I love you so much. They develop for negative evidence. Yeah, develop to deny. Or they request an exam and then penalize vet for failure to report. Oh, if the veteran doesn't show up to the CMP exam. Yeah. I want to know, like, what can the veteran do legally in that instance? I know the disability claim side of the house, you know, attorney. I would attorney all day. I want to know what can a veteran do legally to that rater? Probably nothing. Or what happens to that rater from the VA's perspective. Jay Vieira says, can you get your ratings, mental health 50 and migraines 50 if you apply for additional conditions? I'm super confused on that comment, Jay, or the question. Mental health rating is on its own. Migraine ratings is on its own. And whatever else you claim is also on its own. And those do not have any implications as to what ratings you get, okay? With the exception of, like, you claim 30 different mental health diagnoses, that's probably all going to be one. But conditions don't really affect, right? Like, if you have a 40% back rating and a 50% mental health rating, that's not going to push your mental health higher at all. It's based on your symptoms for that. Don't be putting that up in here, dude. What you doing? We don't want to see that. We want American flags. That's what we want. Okay. Cheeto says, you don't love me no more. Oh, I do. Sorry, Cheeto. The icons on the, I'm on my phone. They're really small. But hands down, my favorite profile pic. What the heck? Do I like anime? Do I look like I like anime? Okay. I've watched Dragon Ball Z on ship when I did some ship deployments. Okay. That's about it. I mean, what else am I going to do on ship? Right. And harder shop sell tacos. It's just soft shell. Okay. Stupid. Dude, YouTube vertical short form brings in some wild comments. Oh my goodness, Steph. Okay, Steph, thank you so much. Seriously, no need to donate anymore. If you just comment, I will get it on the back end. And holy shit. Okay. I always feel weird when this happens. Thank you. Seriously. Steph says, by the way, I'm fighting the VA right now for developing to deny my claim. I'm fighting too. I'm in it. Same as all vets. I'm sorry to hear that. When it comes to medical opinions and you're combating when it comes to combating medical opinions, an attorney would be consider one would be a good idea. I'm not saying go for it, just saying consider one. We have the big smackaroos from Jimmy Elmore. Jimmy, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Jimmy. I hope it's crazy to think that when I started this channel, I didn't know what monetization was at all. I had zero intentions of doing this ever. It's just crazy to think that like people donate because of the help that they receive, right? And all this is free. Like I will answer your question for free, like I have been doing the last over 2 hours. But Jimmy, I appreciate it, and everyone else too. I love you so much. I appreciate it. It actually helps me tell my wife to leave me alone so I can do more live streams. So appreciate it. Aimer Dog Love, thank you so much. Ryan Street, thank you so much. I love you too. I have been diagnosed with PTSD. I was in the Navy, no combat action ribbon. Don't worry about it. Pay, but proof of combat zone deployment, is that sufficient? A combat deployment is not going to be the stressor, okay? Something happened, right? I'll give you an example. This is kind of TMI, like a recurring event, okay? So, someone I served with passed away, came back from deployment. We had a ceremony, and their family was there. So it has nothing to do with combat. I am on Camp Lejeune in the movie theater next to the two-story chow hall, if you know where that's at, all right? We have a ceremony, and whenever they do the 21 gun salute, the person's mom started crying. It wasn't a cry, it was like a wail. It was a piercing, and I mean piercing your soul type cry. That reoccurring thought could absolutely lead to post-traumatic stress. It could lead to anxiety. It could lead to just tons of mental health conditions, right? That has nothing to do with combat. So it's not the deployment itself, but what happened. We're talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. That doesn't discount, evidence for depression or evidence for anxiety. So what is the stressor there? What caused your mental health disabilities? All right. Jimmy Elmore says, no question, just appreciate you for what you do. I appreciate you. All right. Whew. Okay. I just feel weird. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's look at more questions. Homies McFly, I love that name, says, I've had 50 for sleep apnea for 15 years. I've dealt with headaches that last all day from a lack of oxygen throughout the night. Since my mask doesn't stay on all night every night, these headaches cause me miss work. Is it too late to file a claim? It's never too late to file a claim. Under any circumstance, it's never too late to file a claim. Okay? I want to know what's your evidence. What is your evidence linking your migraines to your sleep apnea? Not someone else's situation. I want to know yours. It's not a one-size-fits-all. 1. 2, do you have a diagnosis? That's part of the key. You know what? Let's make that number 1. That's number 1. What's your evidence of the secondary connection? That's number 2. Then what are your symptoms? That's number 3. With these 3, submit the claim. We have a new member to the channel, Roger Smith. Thank you very much for being a member. I appreciate that. Here soon, 4 members, because everything I do is free, okay? It's funny I'm saying that on a live where people are giving super chats. Everything I do is free. I don't charge for anything. Those that wish to donate, do it on their own accord. And I love you all for it. But for members, you don't get anything special, right? If I see your chat come up, I'll definitely read it. And I want the playing field to stay level. But what I am going to do for members is I'm going to create a video of my personal disabilities and the evidence I used for each of those, right? So that way you can see I practice what I preach. That's kind of what I'm doing. Ooh, Greg, can you send me that, Greg? Can you send me that? What is he talking about? Yes, thank you. Thank you. I guess I'll do that tomorrow. That's what my tomorrow will look like. Okay. Steel Horses 04 says, what to do when a portion of your medical records are missing and you had injuries I could file claims against. That part sucks. Right? Are we talking VA records? Are we talking service treatment records? I'm going to assume military records. That sucks. Okay. In that instance, you can write a statement. There was the fire that happened, and I'm saying this ignorantly. Something happened and a bunch of records were destroyed, and it was just passed. Was it passed or introduced? Whatever. I made a video on it like a week ago. You can look at it. Something was passed where statements would act as evidence for missing records, okay? So really, I don't know if that would apply to your situation or not, but I would at least check it out. Mark Boothman with a $30 donation. Dude, thank you. Thank you so much. Like your response as you throw your head backwards, grabbing your forehead with your hands. LOL. Also, I'm going to support the channel. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. All right. I really appreciate that. For reals. Okay. Yep, Steph Saint, I got you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you do, especially working at the VA. Okay. Steph says, love my vets. I always go for the highest eval and return those negative opinions back as insufficient. I need to sleep at night. Awesome. Love to see it. Troopa Trippings vlog. I love that name. Says, hello. Please subscribe. I'll show you beautiful Philippine IS. I don't even know why I read this stuff. Okay. Jason Earhart. A vet told me listening to Combat Craig and Hill and Potton and doing homework, they went from 70 to 100% P&T. Yeah, I totally believe that. I mean, there's some solid information out on YouTube. There's also some baloney information out there, too. They did use the DAV and submitted personal statements from friends and fam. That's how you do it. Educate, veterans don't have to understand the entirety of the VA disability claims process. Not at all. At a minimum, thank you for being a member. Steph, I love you. Thank you. At a minimum, okay? At a minimum, I'm from Kentucky. I live in D.C. Sorry. At a minimum, here's what you need to understand for the VA disability. 1, what are you claiming? You gotta understand what you're claiming, okay? 2, what is your evidence? From service and current evidence, right? Like if you went to VA, if you went to private, whatever that looks like. And that's it. What are you claiming? What is your evidence? That is all you need to know. You don't need to know the ins and outs of what I call VA stuff. VA is going to handle that. Whether you know it or not, the VA is going to do it, okay? I'd probably say like 92% of all veterans with those two things will be good. Now, when it comes to secondary conditions and all that stuff, that gets a little bit more in depth. But again, understanding what it is you want to claim and what your evidence is for, we'll get at it. Terry Klein with a $10 donation. Thank you very much, Terry. T. Klein. I appreciate it very much. Yep. That's what it is, Cheeto. Cheeto, I do love you. That's what it is. And I like the picture there. Jason Earhart. This is a good segue. You just got to do homework and try to outsmart the VA. Yes. And I'll say this as a blanket statement. VA disability is not healthcare, so don't treat it like it is. That's where veterans make the mistake, is they treat disability claims like healthcare, which is wrong, completely wrong. VA disability, you need to think about it like a legal proceeding. That's what it is. A C&P exam is those are all legal proceedings. Just having that framework, that perspective, understanding it's a court case. What do lawyers do, right? The defendant's representation will make their own arguments and craft the prosecution's arguments to understand what you're going to say. The prosecution is going to do the same thing. Create their arguments and then craft the defendant's arguments to fight against that. That's VA disability. You have to understand your evidence, okay? And then, depending on your situation, it would be a solid idea to understand, if the VA denied your claim, how would they do it? Once you understand that, what I would do, you know what? I'm going to go get evidence just to make that claim airtight. There you go. So here's an example, and I use sleep apnea as a good example for this. If I'm doing a sleep apnea claim, and I know I'm thinking the VA is going to deny it because I'm fat, right? I'm obese, my diet sucks, my exercise sucks, which is probably gonna be a reason for denial, and I know that. What I'm gonna do is talk to my healthcare team. I have severe disabilities on my knees and on my back. Is there a way I can get obesity linked to those conditions so I can kind of undermine the VA's argument? And there you go. With that, that's just one example, but with that framework, that's how you get service connected. All right. That was a big rant there, but you get what I'm saying, big dog. All right, Larry Morgan says he volunteers at Del K. Graham. Awesome. Awesome accredited VSO. Antisha Cloud, if you have 100% P&T, do you have to continue being seen? You don't have to. It's not required, okay? That's a technical answer. You said because I'm over having to validate my back pain to doctors. You don't have to validate it. It's already been service connected. The validation period is over. Don't think about it like that. The question is, should you seek healthcare? That's the question. I am always going to say yes to that. Should veterans with disabilities seek healthcare? The answer is yes. Healthcare. Ain't got nothing to do with VA disability. Now, it just so happens to be that seeking healthcare through the VA will act as evidence. In your case, your P&T, don't worry about it, right? But yes, if you're asking me, you should seek healthcare. My wife texted me, give me a minute. Okay, can't ignore the wife. All right. Michael Jefferson, I filed for sinusitis back in August of 23, had intent to file January of 23. Awarded 30% December 23. My question is, based on this comment and this comment alone, yes. Okay, that should be backdated to August of 22. I would do a higher level review on the effective date of that. Mandy Benson says, hi, how are you? I'm good. Okay. I'm actually going to end the live stream. My wife wants to call. Okay. Oops. That's a joke. There's a lot of truth to that, though. But hey, thank you for coming to the stream. I appreciate it. Everyone that donated, I love you. Right? I love you so much. Thank you. If I answered your question, if I helped you, hit like, share the stuff. Just get the word out. The purpose of this channel is to give veterans another option. I'm trying to inform veterans, educate veterans on their benefits, and ultimately disrupt the market against claims consulting companies. That's the goal, okay? But at the end of the day, I can compromise that if a veteran chooses to go with a claims consulting company, it's at least an informed and educated decision. That way they avoid the predatory practices, okay? That's just my opinion. That's why I created this channel. But thank you for coming to the stream. Steph, thank you very much. I love you more than anyone right now. Jimmy, Jimmy, you're up there too. Okay. Thank you very much. And I'll end the stream once I figure out how to close it.